You are standing in the kitchen, exhausted, waiting for the coffee to finally brew. The house is relatively quiet for a brief moment. Then, you hear the quick patter of feet behind you. Small arms wrap tightly around your legs. A sudden, intense demand for your physical presence. And in that exact microsecond, before your conscious brain can process the love you hold for your child, your body reacts. You don't lean into the embrace. Instead, you subtly shift your weight. You stiffen your knees. You take a half step back. It's an involuntary flinch. A quiet, almost imperceptible withdrawal from the sudden closeness. You reach for your mug with both hands. The coffee is already getting cold again. Of course it is. Holding it as if it were a physical shield between you and the overwhelming demand of another human being. Your child looks up, wanting connection, but you suddenly find an urgent need to wipe the already clean counter. You busy your hands, because your nervous system is suddenly screaming that you need space to breathe. You love them completely, yet your very first reflex is to retreat from their touch. And if you have an avoidant attachment style, moments like this can feel quietly unbearable. Not because you don't love your child, but because your nervous system learned long ago that too much closeness can feel overwhelming. It doesn't end with the physical step back. The retreat moves inward, settling deep behind your eyes. When the physical distance isn't enough to calm the noise in your head, the invisible wall comes down. You sit on the floor beside them later in the afternoon, surrounded by wooden blocks and scattered toys. They hand you a small, brightly colored car, with absolute joy in their eyes, waiting for you to share the moment. And you look at the toy, and you realize you feel absolutely nothing. There is a profound, echoing blankness inside your chest. Watching the scene unfold from behind a thick pane of glass, you try to force the feeling to arrive. You search your body for the overwhelming, warm maternal love that everyone insists should be flooding your system right now. But there is only silence, a hollow, quiet detachment that feels heavy, confusing, and terrifyingly cold in the middle of your own living room. This is the deepest, quietest contradiction of your entire maternal experience. The love you have for them is a permanent, underlying truth of your existence. Yet, in the actual, messy, suffocating moments of everyday life, when they are crying for you, clinging to your shirt, demanding that you look at them, hold them, and fix their world, your deepest impulse is to disappear, to become completely invisible. You feel a sudden, suffocating wave of claustrophobia in your own skin. The air in the room feels too thick to breathe. And this is usually the moment others hide from the world. You start to resent their need for you, and then, almost instantly, you resent yourself for feeling that way. You are trapped in a cycle of craving profound connection in theory, but feeling entirely consumed by it in practice. The closeness you always thought you wanted suddenly feels like it is quietly erasing who you are. To survive the intensity of these moments, without completely shattering the illusion of being a present mother, you develop a masterclass in quiet deflection. You become incredibly, urgently busy with the smallest, most insignificant tasks. When they are melting down on the floor, needing you to regulate their tiny nervous system, you suddenly find yourself fiercely scrubbing a phantom stain in the sink. You keep your hands occupied so you don't have to offer them. You keep your eyes focused on the dishes, so you don't have to meet their desperate gaze. It is adaptation. But deep down, in the quietest part of your mind, you know the truth. You are hiding in plain sight, using chores to create distance from emotional overwhelm. And when you can no longer hide behind the laundry or the dishes, when they successfully trap you in a moment of demanded connection, the performance begins. They show you a messy, scribbled drawing, their eyes shining with pride, waiting for your validation. You summon every ounce of energy left in your depleted body and force a bright, exaggerated smile. You raise your voice an octave and say, "Wow, that is so beautiful. I love it." But the words taste like ashes in your mouth. You hear your own voice echoing in the room, and it sounds thin, hollow, and painfully artificial. You are going through the precise motions of a loving, engaged mother, hitting all the correct behavioral marks. But internally, the engine has completely stalled. You are a ghost operating a human machine. That isn't cruelty, it's survival. But the disconnect between the bright sound of your voice and the heavy, gray emptiness in your chest leaves you feeling fraudulent, utterly exhausted, and more profoundly isolated than ever before. You lay in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what is broken inside of you. Why does the fundamental act of mothering, the holding, the soothing, the emotional presence, feel like a threat to your nervous system? The answer is not that you lack love, or that you are inherently cold. The answer lies in the silent, invisible wiring of your nervous system. Long before you became a mother, your brain learned a very specific lesson about human connection. It learned that intense emotional demands, unpredictability, and deep vulnerability were unsafe. It learned that to survive, to maintain equilibrium, you needed space. You needed to retreat. Distance became your primary mechanism for safety. This is one of the core patterns of avoidant attachment. Your brain learns to associate emotional dependency with overwhelm. So closeness starts triggering self-protection instead of relaxation. So now, when your child, loud, unpredictable, and endlessly needy, presses against your physical and emotional boundaries, your nervous system misinterprets their completely normal bid for connection as a dangerous invasion. The alarm bells ring. Your nervous system shifts into protection mode. The flinching, the stepping back, the sudden need to wipe the counter. These are not conscious rejections. They are ancient protective reflexes, trying to protect you from being overwhelmed. But understanding the biology does not immediately erase the crushing weight of the guilt. When the house is finally silent, when they are asleep and breathing softly in the next room, the quiet avoidance of the day catches up to you, and you are filled with a desperate, aching sorrow. You scroll through social media, and the noise finds you again. Perfect lunches, perfect patience, perfect mothers smiling through exhaustion, and your already overwhelmed nervous system quietly whispers, "Why can't you do this normally?" Borrowed guilt starts flooding your chest again. But those videos never show the nervous system underneath the performance. You whisper apologies into the dark room, promising yourself that tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow, you will be patient. Tomorrow, you will sit on the floor and genuinely play. Tomorrow, you won't feel the desperate urge to run. But the guilt itself becomes another layer of exhaustion. A heavy tax you pay for simply trying to stay emotionally functional through the day. You are punishing yourself for an involuntary physiological response, carrying the shame of a nervous system you did not choose to inherit, that profound emotional blankness you experience, the invisible wall that descends when things get too loud or too demanding. It's not a failure of character. It is an emergency circuit breaker. When a house is struck by lightning, the electrical panel shuts down to prevent a catastrophic fire. Your brain does the exact same thing. When the sensory input of motherhood, the crying, the touching, the constant questions, the endless, relentless need, reaches a threshold that your nervous system cannot safely process, it simply cuts the power. The emotional blunting is a biological shield. Your body chose distance before it chose collapse. It shuts down the feeling before the feeling destroys you. You feel nothing because your nervous system reacts as if feeling everything would overwhelm you. It is a brilliant, desperate attempt by your body to keep you emotionally operational, to keep you moving through the motions of the day, so you can feed them and keep them alive. You are not broken for feeling blank. Your nervous system is exhausted, not evil. Your body is just remembering a time in your past, when emotional shutdown was the only way. Your nervous system knew how to protect you. You look at your own subtle withdrawal, your need for extreme independence, your discomfort with big emotions, and you see the ghosts of your own childhood standing in the room. You remember the times you were told to quiet down, to handle it yourself, to stop being so sensitive. You realize that you were raised by people who also found emotional intensity terrifying. They probably loved you the best way their nervous systems knew how. But emotional closeness may not have felt safe inside your home either. You learned to need less to make them comfortable. And now, you are watching yourself inadvertently pass down the very same emotional distance. You catch yourself praising your child for being so independent and playing quietly alone for hours. And a cold realization washes over you. Are you celebrating their natural personality? Or are you relieved because their quietness soothes your own avoidant nervous system? Are you teaching them, without speaking a single word, that love is safer when it is kept at an arm's length? Breaking this invisible, generational chain does not happen in a single, dramatic moment of cinematic healing. It happens in agonizingly small, fiercely intentional micro moments. It happens when they run to you, crying over a scraped knee, and instead of instantly tightening your jaw and holding your breath, you force your shoulders to drop a fraction of an inch. You consciously exhale. Drop your shoulders for a second. Your body has been bracing for impact all day. You let them press against your chest for 3 seconds before your nervous system urges you to pull away. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to notice the armor. When the invisible wall comes down, you gently acknowledge it. You say to yourself, "My body feels threatened right now, but we are safe." You stop hiding behind the kitchen counter for just 1 minute. You sit on the floor and let yourself be entirely present, even if you still feel slightly blank. You show your nervous system, very slowly, that connection is no longer an emergency. That love does not have to feel like engulfment. That closeness can happen without losing yourself inside it. That this touch, this child, this chaotic, beautiful connection will not consume you. This is the quiet, exhausting work of rewiring a lifetime of self-protection. You will still have days where you need to step away. You will still have moments where the blankness takes over, and the guilt comes rushing back in the dark. But you must release the shame. The heavy, protective armor you wear was forged long ago, to keep you safe when you had no other protection. But you are safe now. You are the adult in the room. You are not the helpless child anymore. The physical tension, the flinching, the need to escape, these are just old alarm systems going off in a house that is no longer on fire. You are an incredibly brave mother for simply noticing the pattern, for refusing to look away from the uncomfortable truth. Every time you take a deep breath and stay, even for an extra second, you are changing the trajectory of their life. You are not broken. Your nervous system simply learned self-protection before it ever learned safety. And now, slowly, gently, you are teaching it that love is no longer something you have to escape from. The noise outside will still be there tomorrow. They will still expect the perfect mom. But the perfect mom doesn't exist. Only you do. And science has shown that children do not need perfect mothers. They need connection, safety, and repair. Drop your shoulders. Take a deep breath, and I'll see you in our next pause. And if your body shuts down the moment the crying starts, our next pause is waiting for you.